Hello, everyone. I'm Thor Gunderson, and once again, it's time for Just Asking for a Friend, the show where we go into the community and we meet content creators, collectors, artists, people throughout the industry, all sorts of folks throughout the collecting community. And today, we're going to meet one of the true Renaissance men of the new generation of collectors and content creators. Now, we both share the same zodiac sign. This is my man, Kash the Gemini. And not only is a collector, a YouTuber, but we talking about freestyle, hip hop artist, and all that sort of situation. So in the music industry as well. So without further ado, I give you get some cash in your life, Kash the Gemini.
Appreciate it.
Oh man, it's all good, man. Good to have you here.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. It feels pretty good to be asked. You know what I mean? Because I was kind of sitting back and I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm an interesting person, and but it feels good, man. It feels good.
Yeah, well, welcome. And so I like to start these things out with because we want the people to get to know you as a person, like who's behind the collecting, you know what I mean? So could you tell the folks like where you grew up, where you're from and all that sort of situation, and give them some sort of idea.
Yeah, no doubt, man. If you guys know Darth Rashid, then y'all definitely know I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. By now, man, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I was born and raised there. Grew up with my great grandmother. That's why I consider my mom. She raised me. So I grew up in a house where I'm 5, 6, 7 growing up, and my mom is 85 years old. You know what I mean? Because when I came out the hospital, she was 72. She was 72 raising a newborn, man. So everybody was listening to at that time what Run DMC, LL Cool J stuff. I was listening to Reverend James Cleveland, when my grandpa, which is her son, when he would pick me up, I'm listening to Marvin Gaye. I'm listening to all the old school stuff. So like just the music I grew up listening to was even different,
That's what's up. You don't hear that too much. They laid the Motown and stuff on you. You know what I'm talking
about? Oh yeah.
And it's funny when I remember when you first told me you were from Omaha. You ever seen the movie Belly?
Yeah.
Remember that dude that was in Omaha? And he was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I was like, he from Omaha. Like that was like the first thing that came to my mind when you told me Omaha, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything. But so talk about how you got into like pop culture as a whole and comics, movies, all that sort of situation, and got to then later on we get into like who's your favorite character and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, my earliest introduction to anything comic related was my aunt had got me a PlayStation, and this was 1998. She got me a PlayStation 1 for Christmas, and she bought me the Spider-Man video game. And so in my collection, I have Spider-Man right next to Daredevil. But the very first time I ever seen Spider-Man in the game, Daredevil was in the game along with Captain America. So that's my first memory of Spider-Man and Daredevil. And then obviously coloring books, I would always have coloring books, stuff like that. And then, I had a neighbor. We would always trade movies and stuff like that. So I'd be watching, Jeepers Creepers, very big into horror, sci-fi, things like that. And, obviously I remember, it being 9:00 at night, pitch black, and the theme song comes on. It's a Batman animated series, and between Batman and Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, those was my go-to shows, man.
I mean, I think because I used to get them a lot on Boomerang. I don't know, a lot of folks now don't know what Boomerang is and Cartoon Network, and you get a lot of Jetsons and Adult Swim and all that kind of stuff. But Batman animated series, I don't think DC realizes how much they owe the culture of Batman right now to that series.
Yeah,
it contributed. So like even now, whenever I kind of gave up on comics a while ago because to me they kept doing all these reboots. But anyway, that's another story. And whenever I would read the Joker, I would always hear Mark Hamill's voice.
Yeah,
Because to me he's like he's perfect. for the role and everything. But anyhow, so from there, like, do you have a favorite character, or is it Spider-Man?
Favorite character as far as Batman or just comics?
And whatever, like all, like Vader's my dude no matter what. Like, is there anybody like that stands above the rest? And
Yeah, I mean, for me, shout out Lori King, man. I love Doctor Doom.
yeah,
I love Doctor Doom. I mean, it's just something about like, it's gonna sound kind of crazy, and I'm not saying I advocate for anything like, negative or anything in like real life, you know what I'm saying? But just something about that dictatorship that I kind of gravitate towards the bad guy, and I like the fact that he looks over everybody, you know what I mean, and some depictions, he got a chalice and he's just looking over the Fantastic Four like he's better than, Reed Richards and stuff like that. So I've always gravitated towards Doom. Other than that, I love Spider-Man. The Joker was always one of my top ones. And even when it comes to X-Men, for whatever reason, it was always Magneto and Gambit for me. It was all like Gambit. It was something about the cards, man, the playing cards, like the smooth Cajun cat, man.
Right.
So
you like with that, it was more like the animated series that you got into them, or
X-Men animated series, the Spider-Man animated series, because even in that show they had Peter Parker's boss, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to capture, you know what I mean? And then he was the one who had something to do with creating the Scorpion. I mean, you learned about all the characters, like you said, like people don't realize without the Batman animated series or the Spider-Man animated series, I don't think the people that's in that 27 and up range really would gravitate as much. Because you asked me about comics, but the truth is, outside of getting into the collecting community, I never cared about comics because I didn't have a comic book store around where I grew up. So I never, unless I got a free one from somebody, I didn't have access to them. I mean, you got to think, like, I grew up with a woman who was 80, 85, 90. Like, there wasn't going to a comic book store.
Yeah, I find that a lot with younger folks that they weren't really comic book readers. Like, us older heads, that's pretty much what we had to do because we didn't have much in the beginning. We didn't have too much access to cable. If there was cable, there might have been 2 channels or something. And I remember reading something where they said that the Spider-Man show, that one you're talking about, was the MCU before there was the MCU. Because they said that they had like everybody who came on there, you saw like, the Punisher and X-Men and all kinds of, and I was like, that's interesting, you know what I mean? Because I didn't watch that one too much. I watched the older one, the one from the 80s with Firestar and Iceman. And that was, because it's Stan Lee, come on, welcome true believers and get ready. That used to give me hype, Jack. You know what I'm saying? Then the Hulk would come on after that,
They said that will never happen again because of licensing. All them characters, it'll never happen again because of licensing. Yeah, see, that's DC. I think DC doesn't understand the tremendous advantage they got because they got all their people under one umbrella. And in Marvel, even though they've been more successful movie wise, they just, there's been no X-Men, none of this. I mean, they got them now, but so what was your slow transition? I think Rodney myself got a hand in this. How did you slowly transition into collecting and statues and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, it's crazy because I remember going to GameStop, going in there for some video games, and I happened to see that they had some Dragon Ball Z stuff, and it was by Ben Presto and Crane King. So I would get those, and it was like $20, and kind of just have them next to my PlayStation and Xbox, things like that. And it's like you had a collection of Blu-rays and you had a collection of video games, but it was never really the collection that we got now, you know what I'm saying? So I remember after that was finally set up, we ended up moving, and we moved. This is maybe 2 months before the pandemic. We ended up moving, and one day I'm just bored sitting down, and I'm flipping through YouTube, and I don't even know how the hell this popped up, because trust me, I ain't put it in, so I don't know how it popped up. And I clicked on this video, and I seen these dudes talking, and I clicked off. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, man. I clicked off of it, and somehow the recommendation came back up like 3 days later. I was at the gym, and I'm like, dang, man, this is crazy. Like, this black dude's talking about this stuff. Like, it was just crazy. And then I was like, oh man, it's a chick on here, Barb, and I'm like, so girls in this stuff, like, it was just crazy. And so I just started watching and gravitated towards it, and I'm like, man, these fools is crazy. The stuff they talking about, they doing. I'm like, man, and it was just a group of people that I just never seen, like, that many people, not one or two, but just that many people that all like pop culture stuff. And I just found it crazy. And then I started, like, somebody had said, the Iron Studios Punisher and, the Sideshow Punisher. And then I started seeing all the Star Wars stuff in the background, the X-Men stuff from a Tim in the background. And I'm like, well, what's Sideshow? And I looked it up, and the domino effect from there, man.
This is game over after that. So when did you decide to make that leap, and like, what was your first piece?
The very first statue I got was PCS Collectibles. I can't remember which one. It was either the Scorpion or the Kodo Khan. And I don't even know Kodo Khan. Like, I know him from the game, but I have no care for the character. But it was just the coolest statue ever. And I said the words, I'll never sell this statue. Right. You know what I mean? Obviously it's gone. Yeah. But it was just so cool when I saw it. It was 1/4. I got Sub-Zero in after Scorpion. Because if you got a statue, the statue got a brother, and the brother got a cousin. So now I got 3. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, damn, look at this presence. We in an apartment, so the whole right side of my bed is nothing but boxes.
Right.
Nothing but boxes, which is crazy. Because when I was talking to King about, when he was in New York and his situation, I'm just like, oh, damn, we sound kind of similar. Because I'm in an apartment. I know we going to move, and it's boxes. Then Iron Studios comes along with the X-Men 1/10. So now I got a bunch of 1/10 boxes here, and I'm just like, I know we moving sometime. I don't know when, but hey.
Now, so, Vader ain't right, So when I first started, I used to watch a lot of room tours, right? And I remember this one Asian cat. He had some nice pieces. He had all the Mythos statues, the original ones, and he had the Doom on throne, and all this stuff was in his bedroom. Of course, me being me, I said, man, what do you do when you get it in? I mean, and these things are like on the headboard, and I'm like, I don't know about them. I don't know why I just went and thought about that. And then when everybody tells me they got them in the bedroom, that's all I think about. I was like, y'all don't never had no problem with that.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? That's just me. Sorry, y'all. Yeah. So when, like, you sound like you made, you started to make that determinate, because, like, again, I used to have XM Ghost Rider and stuff like that, and then you slowly realize that, if you don't have, even though the piece is great and everything, if you got no affection for the character, then it just you just. And I remember Gio saying from Red Titan saying, then you just got a room full of strangers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this stuff is too expensive to And I noticed you do a lot of Predators and stuff like that. And it's funny because my mom always said, you need to have a Predator sticker. My mother loves Predator. You know what I mean? And I do want one. It's just, I need a bigger place because I can't have them with the Sith Lords and everything. So would you say, what is your collection most like geared towards you? It's just
after going through that phase of kind of buying whatever you want and everything, you kind of start to realize, okay, well, I can sell this because I don't really care as much for these type here. And then once you actually like move into the space that you're going to be in, that really helps when you know the space you have. And then you actually know your budget. Now, see, I'm going to tell you guys something, and I'll swing back around to the question. Okay, when I first got into the hobby, I made $93,000 that year. I made $93,000 that year. Swing back around once we moved into the house, we got the place and everything like that. So imagine going from 93,000 that year when you first start collecting to being unemployed for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So now you buying anything you want because the money will be here next week. I don't have any like anything majorly to pay that was really affecting me. Like I was to the point where I was getting in stuff so quick, it didn't even care. Oh, okay, 1,500, whatever, I'll get it, whatever, I'll get it. And that's what I was just accustomed to for years by myself, taking care of anything, didn't really matter, buy a new TV, a game system, whatever. So when you trickle around to the money effect, then you got to really start thinking, oh, I can't afford this. I can't afford this. And that's why I always tell people this hobby is beautiful, because still to this day, I'm still amazed that you can get a Mr. Freeze from the Batman animated series, and now you can have your own Mr. Freeze in your house. Something I never even thought was possible. But now I realize between money, knowing your budget, knowing that one day you could have 100,000 and the next day you may not, you really got to know what you love and stuff. So from then I trickled everything down to, I know I love Spider-Man and Daredevil, so I have that. On the other half, I know I have X-Men, so I have that. I sold all my Predators, but the big game cover art Predator with the Hunter's Victim. So I got the dead guy. I got the big game cover art Predator. It's amazing. I got the 3 original Horror Kings. I got Freddy, Michael, Jason. I'm good. Right next to it, I have a couple of my arcades. I used to have 11 arcades, but again, just buying them to buy them. I don't need 11, so now I only have... I got 2. I plan to cap it at 4. But it's just that maturation process of knowing what I actually want. Now this room right here was originally supposed to be a closet. Had to do a little bit of renovations, turned into the Batman streaming room. But now where it gets crazy, knowing your space. I got one last space, and
we gonna get to that in a minute.
I don't know why, but it's coming.
Oh, you know it's coming, Jack. Pause. Anyhow, I'm glad you brought that up, because I always like to, Cash, he's recently married. Congratulations, everything. How does collecting affect like your marriage or your relationship? Does it ever come up, or does it ever? How does that work?
For me, it's a little different, because the whole time I was making money like that, I was the only person working anyway. So it was kind of like, well, he got the money for everything, so who cares?
Right.
But now that I don't have that same type of money that I did have, upon knowing that there's a community, knowing that there's collectibles, it is a little different now, where I'll even tell her like, hey, I'm about to buy this. What do you think? Or I'll tell her, hey, I'm stressed out. I got too many. And this time last year, I had 24 POs, 24. Wow. And I'm gonna keep everything real with you. I had 24 POs, but I didn't have a job.
Wow.
I didn't have a job.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It came to the point where, and I'm only saying this because it's like, people can make fun if they want, that's fine. But I'm saying it so somebody does hear this and does understand, hey, you really can get in trouble. Like,
you sure can.
That's why I'm saying it. It came to a point to where the house that I busted my ass off for, excuse the language, the house that I busted my butt off, almost lost the house.
Wow.
The cars that I busted my butt off for almost lost the car. Now I got a Camaro, 2014 Camaro, and a 2017 Corvette. Busting my butt off for everything I have. Almost lost everything. So don't get too wrapped up in this stuff. This stuff is all fine. ES, whatever you want to mention, irrelevant. You have to have a place to lay over your head. That's most important. You got to have food on the table. You have to be a man and handle your responsibilities. And it was a hard lesson to learn. Shout out one of the guys in the community, Pudgy. He was definitely giving me like that older talk that was like, I'll help you. I'll help you see what you can trim down. I cut, and to this day right now, I only have 4 POs, and I always said I'll never have more than 5 because of that.
There is definitely a lesson to be learned with what you said. I have, over the past year, I got 1 PO right now. And it's just, you learn that it's just this stuff, because when you first get into it, there's like you said, it's the hype and keeping up, and stuff is coming out, and who is this, and then this and this. you know, and then one piece comes out, like let's use Thanos on Throne. Well, I don't know if you were collecting when Thanos on Throne came out, but
No.
when that came out, like not me, but like I say 80% of the community wanted that piece. You know, and you know what I'm talking about. Like when Blade came out, everybody wanted to pre-order Blade and all that, you know, and you can get caught up in the hype real easy, you know. But like you said, none of this stuff is more important than your home or you having food on the table, or you know, it's just not, man. And
It's not.
it's definitely, I think you're the first one to bring that up since I started doing this, and it's definitely very important, you know. So I hope y'all take heed to that, and we'll get to like the community and stuff later. But briefly, I know we kind of I don't want to like stray too far off. You also in the music too, right? You know, so to talk about that, because I know you do a little freestyle and hip hop and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. You know what's crazy is you know, I was at work one day and I mean it was basically just right place, right time. Somehow there was an artist by the name of Gorilla Zoe who was signed to Atlantic Records, and randomly right place, right time. Online actually. This is when like social media kind of like first started, whatever. And then I ended up going to Atlanta. And ironically, when I was down there with him, this is when we had got done recording and everything like that. One of the BET executives was in the room over. They was in the room over, and they was producing a song for that TV show. It was called The Game. It was like a football show or something like that. Yeah. They were producing, I think, the intro for that song or something like that. Now in the other room was a guy named Jarvis, who was TLC's old road manager. He was in there. So he was around these people and stuff like that. And then we was sitting just like watching basketball after we got done. And he was talking to me. And he was just like, yeah, man, you know, I definitely think, you know, this, and this. I think, you know, we could help you, you know, with different things. And the crazy thing about it is just being younger, I didn't take all them. I just didn't take heed to what he was saying, you know, and I kind of brushed it off because, you know, dude, I'm 21 here, like whatever, man, I'll be back, you know, whatever, records are going to come, whatever. And ended up not getting the situation that I wanted with Atlantic Records. And fast forward now. So now we fast forward, and at this point I'm 26. And for people in the music, they know there was a lot of stuff going on between Lil Wayne, Cash Money, Young Money with Birdman, with his album, his money, whatever. Around that time, I was working with some of the Young Money artists. Now, this is where the music industry can become really kind of crazy. After doing the Young Money experience, and I became real cool with one of their artists there. He went by the name of Lil Chucky. He was supposed to be the next Lil Wayne, but ended up not working out, whatever. We were supposed to fly to Chicago. And we flew to Chicago. We were supposed to meet up with the record executive. The whole thing was staged. Fake record executive. Fake label, the whole thing was staged to where we lost out on just all the money we put into it. Crazy scenario, man. So the music industry can definitely be crazy. When you do have good people, good opportunities where stuff is legit, you see the credentials and everything, I would definitely say look it over with an attorney if you have one, or at least like trust your better judgment. But the music industry is good. You know, as far as what I did experience, is some of it is also bad, but you just got to be very careful. I always like poetry, man, you know, and always people say, would you ever been a rapper? And I always say, no, man, it's just poetic justice at its finest. You know what I'm saying? I've always liked poetry. So I just like putting words together and stuff like that. And, you know, I love music, man. I love music.
I do too. I can honestly say I like almost every genre of music. I can't do country too much. It's a few country songs I like, but like I can do classical. It's funny because like people surprised when I tell them this. They say, "What's the best movie you've ever seen?" And it's this movie called Amadeus. And what is not Star Wars? Like, no, like I mean, I said Amadeus is if you're a music lover, I would highly suggest you see Amadeus. It grabs. It's not one thing of action in that movie, but like it grabs you as soon as you watch it, and it's all about it's classical music. It's about Mozart, and it's not really about Mozart. It's a guy telling his story of how he knew Mozart, right? And you just see how genius this dude was in writing music, and like it was done. Every piece he wrote was a masterpiece, and he could just do it 5 minutes. Okay, bam, masterpiece. You know what I mean? And it's just something about music that's just eternal. Bushy and I were talking about it, and like we equated it to the statues, and we were saying like how people the turnover, like okay, every 5 minutes they get the stuff and selling stuff, and we're like this stuff is like it's like music. You get a great piece, then you keep it. You know what I mean? And so I definitely get what you mean. Music. It's I guess a lot of people don't know that about me, but yeah, I love all different types of music and everything, and But that's good. I'm glad, because I remember I didn't know it was to that extent, that you were doing labels and stuff about to,
yeah,
take
man.
off.
Stuff almost got real. I kind of stopped doing it. Like when my mom passed away, I really just kind of like lost the passion for it.
Right.
But music is something that I've always like really liked, or even just writing poetry and stuff like that. But it's crazy because there is actually speaking of Gillette Stadium, which is I kind of wrote something about that, which was kind of like football related and stuff. And I used to throw like Ray Lewis in there and stuff like that. Was one of my favorite players growing up, man. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. So I threw them in a couple things, but yeah.
Well, if y'all can't tell, it's Cash is a Raven fan. Yeah, Ray is. That was my guy, man. When he first did that dance, I was no more
girl dance, man. Yeah.
And I knew it was and he took it like from the movie Gladiator. He took the dirt. I was like, that's from Gladiator, you know what I mean? And I've always loved Ray, and everything. Where was I gonna go next? So now we get into the dark side. So Cash is a little younger. He wasn't around when the original trilogy came out and everything. But one day he comes to me and says, look, man, I want to check out this Star Wars stuff. I'm like, okay. So, I shot him a few like of the fan-made movies and all that kind of stuff. And then, he kind of asked which order. You rewatching them again now, right?
Yeah.
And so, first of all, folks want to know, like, how is it possible you haven't watched Star Wars until this point? But now that you're watching it, how do you like it? And what does it do as far as your collecting journey? Because I know it's affected that too.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I've watched everything again for the second time except for the Solo movie. I've watched all the other 10 movies. I'm on the Solo movie. I'm actually about to watch that Monday, and then I'm gonna go to obviously Boba, Mando. Haven't watched the newest season of Mando. Haven't watched anything of Andor, so I gotta go do that. And I have never seen Clone Wars, Rebels, or Bad Batch, so I will definitely be checking those out. And a lot of people don't talk about them too off Ewok things. They never mention those.
Oh yeah. They had some Ewok show way back in the 80s. It was like a TV movie, but it's they.
But that's kind of crazy that no one talks about it. I mean, I've never seen it, so I don't know. But it's kind of crazy because that's where they had the battle at. What was that?
Endor.
Yeah.
Endor. Yeah.
So it's like they never talk about those movies. But honestly, I was just never around it. I'm an only child as well, so I didn't have like an older brother or cousin who was into this stuff. I mean, I'm the oldest grandchild as well, so I didn't have anybody older who was into it. Honestly, I've always around Halloween time, I would always see like they would have like Chewbacca doing like Kit Kat commercials, things like that. So I always knew about Chewbacca. I always knew obviously about Darth Vader, but that was to the extent of even R2-D2 I knew about, but that was to the extent of it. And of course, you couldn't escape the classic line, I am your father. Like, so I knew about that stuff, but I didn't know about the order. I didn't really understand like, what is this world? And the craziest thing about it, people may get mad, but dare I say, Star Wars is probably bigger than Marvel and DC put together. I mean, it just is. And when you go and watch it, I love Doctor Doom. I love Spider-Man. I always see the comparisons and could this person be this person? I don't think nobody's messing with Vader. I don't think nobody's messing with Vader.
My work is finished, everybody. So thank you very much. I'll be trying to tell people, like, for years, if you watch the original trilogy, you get him in spurts. You don't really see him, and I kept telling him, because I read, for years, even after the movies were over, I read all the Dark Horse book. Those are good too, if you ever get a hold of those. Like because they had the comic license before Marvel got it back or whatever. Because Marvel used to make Star Wars books, then it was Dark Horse. Now they got it again, and I would read, and he would be dissecting people in that, and then I hear all this stuff. Oh man, he don't do nothing. And I said, man, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Then Rogue One came out, and I was like, and they were like, well, it's finally time. I said, man, I said, y'all ain't read the books. I said, he been doing. I said, this ain't nothing either, And finally, Disney's kind of giving him more justice now, in my opinion, But like, again, I always tell people, I already knew, what I mean? And I know you're a Doom dude, and I always hear these people, well, he came from Dr. Doom, and that was the idea. I said, well, there ain't nothing to like for real, just except for the suit. And then I always tell people, I said, well, have you ever been to Italy? What do you mean been to Italy? I said, have you ever been to Italy? You ever had pizza in Italy? I said, pizza in Italy is more rustic than the pizza here. And I said,
yeah,
for me, American pizza is better than the pizza in Italy. See, they might have invented it, but we perfected it. And in my opinion, we perfected it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, he is the smoothest cat I've ever seen, except for James Bond. And it's like, he never gets upset. He always even keel. And he even throw that little he got a little sarcasm, like when the dude came, I'm gonna go apologize to Lord Vader. Of course, he got choked out and he said, apology accepted, Captain Nita. Like, yeah, come get this motherfucker, please. Thank you very much. And that's my dude, But as far as the other ones, like Sidious and Maul and all them,
Sidious is crazy to me.
Sidious, he cold, ain't he?
Man, what's the last one? The Force Awakens. That was the third one. What he was doing in there when he was trying to get Rey to like become the Empress. Man, that dude is crazy. I was like, man, this dude is crazy.
What that's a concept they took. There was a I think it was called Dark Forces or Dark Empire, I think it was called. Yeah, and it was in that it's no longer canon. It took place after Return of the Jedi, and somehow he had just like in that he had clone bodies, and he had took his persona and took over one of the clone bodies, but like the clone bodies wouldn't last, so like he needed what we call it. Leia was pregnant with I guess now would be Kylo, and he wanted to take over that body, and then that one he could stay in. So that's basically what he was doing. In that he wanted to take over her body, and then live out, in her body and everything. So they took that concept from Dark Empire.
So when Rey was fighting him at the end with the double sabers, because she had Leia's saber and Luke's saber.
Yeah,
was that actually Sidious there himself, or
that was him? Yeah.
Okay.
So but the thing with those is I don't think they thought those out too well. What I mean? It's just they just kind of went movie to movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I got pissed because you got Finn over here liking her the whole damn trilogy, and she go and kiss Kylo. I'm like, man, what is going on?
It's so sad because he every time he turns around, he's Ray,
yeah,
come back, Ray. I'm like, how y'all gonna do this? And I liked his character. It just they just didn't, and especially in the first one.
Oh yeah,
and I liked his character, and then just slowly over time, he just never.
See, this isn't like a memorable line, but one of the hardest things in the Obi-Wan show was when who was it? That was a second sister, the black chick, right? Or no, that was the fourth sister.
What was she? I think she was the ninth sister. Oh no, she wasn't the ninth sister. That's the one from the video game. Something third or
third sister.
Yeah, third sister. That's what she was.
When he was hiding, she was like, "Oh, you didn't know Obi-Wan."
He's
she went, like how she said that. She was like, "Oh, you didn't know."
Yeah.
he's alive. Anakin Skywalker is alive. And I'm just like, damn, dude. Like, and the look on his face was like, how? Like,
because you ain't kill him. You know what I mean? And that was hardcore. I you know, when when stuff like that happens, you know, Vader run outside, and you know how how Arnold did that scream to the Predator and
yeah,
Vader be doing that
with the mud.
yeah. I ain't got no mud, but you know, but when he showed up and pulled your boy Obi-Wan through that fire and all that stuff, but the thing even before that, this man ran. I was like, this Batman is running away. Go get him, Vader. Go get him. You know
but before they even get to that scene, when he's hiding and he's walking straight in all the village people, I'm like,
snapping necks.
He was like, I'm like,
snapping necks. I was like,
he has arrived.
He has arrived, Jack. That's my boy. But I mean, since 4 years old, that's been my dude.
Yeah,
you know what
that plane scene with the Force.
Yeah, that's what he do. That's what he do, bro. I be telling people. You know what I mean? And people, I cussed this dude out one time about Batman. I said, Batman? What do you mean Batman? Yeah. I said, are you crazy? I said, he can bring the whole Bat family. All of them getting whooped. Man, you out your mind.
So is Vader the strongest Sith that there ever was?
No, it's Sidious. Actually, it's more, I mean, it's some ancient ones. Like in the ones that we know, it's Sidious. But
even when before the high ground scene, when he was like, "You underestimate my power."
Yeah, he made it. That's a tactical. He just was arrogant.
Okay.
They were pretty much even. You know what I mean? But it's just he just thought he could do anything, and he did. And I mean, we talked about this before. They should have did something early in that movie to like him teaching him something. So you don't want to give up the high ground, And we was just like, okay, where does high ground thing come from? You know what I mean? That would have been a little bit better. But
that's what he mean. I'm gonna cut your legs off.
Right. Yeah. And I was out. That's the one I always wanted to see, because I wanted to see the actual process of him getting in his suit and everything. Because you never saw none. Even I guess you got a clue when Luke cut his hand off. You saw those wires and everything. Like I had no clue that he didn't have legs.
Oh, you want a RoboCop type scene?
Well, I mean, I wanted to know. I just wanted to know how. I wanted to see the actual him actually.
Yeah.
Becoming. You know what I mean? And because you never see that in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And it's just to me, it's nothing like it. Like you said, all this Marvel and stuff. All that stuff is cool, but it's that's always been my squad. You know what I mean? And but yeah, Sidious and so what do you think? What's your favorite one so far?
Favorite character?
Favorite movie?
I definitely like Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One.
I liked Empire Strike Back.
There you go.
And for some reason, I really liked it. Clone Wars. Clone Wars had a lot of action in there. Yoda was
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, yeah. Okay. Attack of the Clones. Yeah, it was a really good one to me. Love seeing a lot of Mace Windu action in there. And then for the second playthrough, because I didn't really catch on the first playthrough, the second playthrough, I finally realized everything what Count Dooku was doing. Because before, you didn't really I didn't really pay attention like that. But the second playthrough was I was able to kind of just take time and just really pay attention more. And then because I was asking you, and it made sense about the rule of two, because I'm like, it seemed like Sidious is just going through dudes, he's using them for what he needs. That's and then on to the next dude.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
And they got on Disney Plus, they just started this new series called Tales of the Jedi. And they show when Dooku was Qui-Gon's master, and they show how he turned to the dark side, and that thing is ice cold. You know what I mean? And they had a female Yoda. Her name was Yaddle. And she was in Attack of the Clones. Like she never talked to her. You just see her on the council. Yeah. And you never see her again. And in Tales of the Jedi, they show you what happened to her. She threw down with Dooku. Yeah. And everything. She followed him one time. And then you check it out. And it's just in ways, a lot of ways, it's great that Disney's taking over, because they're doing they're filling in holes, and oh, that's what happened. You know what I mean? But I really need them to move past all this, this. I mean, all this Skywalker stuff. I want to see the old Republic with like Revan and Malik, these two cats right here, and Treya, that's her, and they don't understand what a gold mine that was, because that's when like the Sith Lords was in abundance, when there was like a whole rack of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even if you want to talk about from a money standpoint, just anything lucrative, you know how many like Hasbro, just how much stuff they could sell. They can make some money,
right? And it's just, I mean, they already are. They already selling Revens, and so it leads me to believe that it's coming.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's just, we just gotta wait on it. And so you did mention who is your favorite character as far as like Star Wars?
I would have to say Anakin / Vader.
Okay.
And when you transition to the new stuff, I know a lot of people gave it stuff, but it was one of the first things I watched. So I did gravitate towards Boba. You know what I mean? Because right after watching like the playthrough for the first time, as I was going through the playthrough, that's when the Boba season 1 had came out. So I had to actually watch Boba before Mando. So a lot of people was all Mando, but I gravitated towards Boba. I thought it was pretty cool. He was coming out the Sarlacc pit, and he's trying to get his armor back, and I gravitated towards it, man. So I would say Boba, Vader, and it's something about that design for Darth Maul. I mean, just the paint. It's something about that design, man. I like the design a lot. So it's probably them three.
The thing about Boba to me in the original trilogy I'm talking about was a big time missed opportunity. And Lucas never knew how popular Boba Fett was.
Yeah.
And like when he so-called died the way he did, people he was like, I didn't know people, and when the show came out, it's a lot of stuff I do like about it. The Power Ranger people, I ain't like them and everything, but
them biker kids.
I was when they showed Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee dude, because he's in the comics. Black Chrysanthemum. I was like, oh snap, because he's in the comics. Him and Boba used to run together in the comic books, and that was great. And then I liked how they started to get into the huts, like the Star Wars underworld is something I always wanted to see. That's why Mando and all that kind of stuff. And it really is exciting when you get into now that Disney's taking over and they're making new content, and now they got Ahsoka coming out.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
And that looks good. So have you got any Star Wars collectibles yet, or you just still open out?
Yeah, actually, I was talking to you, and I did end up getting the MYC Emperor Palpatine, the exclusive.
You got him.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I have one more payment to go on that, so that'll be here next month. Appreciate the guy giving me a payment plan, by the way.
Good dude. Good dude.
Yeah, so I have that coming. Also the NYC Mace Windu coming. Ooh. I said the only Jedi I was gonna have is Mace and Master Yoda.
There you go. And then, you're just like me. Yoda is the only.
Yoda walks so slow, but when it's time to get down, I mean, and he was like, probably remember when he told Luke, he's like, you judge me by my size, not? I'm small, and then he's like, always with you, can't, and then he when he lifted the ship out the water,
that was the
bad dude.
Yoda is I always like folks with wisdom, like older cats that always try to drop knowledge on you. And so I was instantly, even at 4 years old, I was instantly drawn to Yoda. You know what I mean? And I could sit here and repeat that whole speech because I already, but I almost tell this every other show, but I was watching that in 1992 with Rodney and this other dude we went to high school with. And this other cat opened his mouth talking about, man, what does Yoda do? He don't do nothing. I said, man, it was a time Yoda was a beast. Man, you're crazy. He don't do nothing. I said, okay. So then 10 years later, we sitting in the theater and then Yoda came out and threw down with Dooku, and I just turned around and looked at both of them. And he was like, all right, man. I said, no. You said it. So do you watch it? You know what I mean? So Yoda, far as Jedi go, that's the only that transitions me into this. What was your favorite duel out of all of them?
That's
I
a
know it's
tough
hard.
one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. If we talking about the the older school stuff, I'm gonna have to say Yoda and at this point he was Sidious. Yeah, Yoda and Sidious because they had just learned that he was
That's
a Sith.
mine. That is mine,
Yeah.
Jack.
And then if we talking about the newer school stuff, you already know. I mean, it's Obi-Wan and Vader. I mean, just that whole
That
lead
was
up.
cold. Yeah, that was ice cold.
Man.
And even though, I knew he was gonna lose, because of what he said in
Yeah.
in the New Hope, and because everybody assumed he was talking about Mustafar, but even though he lost, when he told that man, you didn't kill Anakin. He said,
Yeah.
and I was, man, I was like, yeah, and that smile, you know what I mean? And I liked how his voice kept changing, like, because the mask is malfunction. And I actually, after that, I didn't mind, people hit me, yeah, your boy lost, and I said, whatever, man. And I really enjoyed. A lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. I don't know why. I still don't understand why y'all didn't like it. You know what I mean? But and I'm hoping they make another season of Kenobi. But we'll see. Now back to just the pieces in general. Do you have a favorite piece or I know that's hard. That's a hard question too. Or like, because you've seen a lot of pieces. Reviewing and stuff. I'll put it like this: which one wowed you the most when you took it out?
Took it out the box. I would probably have to say either the Predator.
I was thinking one of the Predators. Yeah,
it would have to either be Predator or Green Goblin from XM Studios. If we talking about just out the box,
right.
Now, if we talking about the piece that I stare at, it's Sideshow Collectibles by Daniel Bell, the Silver Surfer. It's right beneath this light. So where it sits at from the angle, if I'm watching TV, you see it coming out the board. And for the first time, I really understood what this man was talking about when he said the word anatomy. A lot of people joke at it and say, oh, it looks like an award and this and that. But when you look at it at a certain angle, it's like every time I look at it, I see a different hue, a different hue of blue, a hint here. And I really have an appreciation for that statue. And that is one I can truly say I would never sell it. Because I had this conversation with her and I said, hey, I'm fine keeping the Batman stuff in this room. It's a small room anyway, whatever. I'm fine keeping it. It's only going to be a couple pieces, whatever. I'm about to go down the Star Wars stuff, and that's something I truly like because I followed Danny Lee's advice. I didn't get any Star Wars collectible for an entire year because he was like, I don't want you to buy them because of recency bias. So I followed the advice. I didn't buy anything for a year. And I'm like, you know what? I still want them. I was going to go ahead and sell all the Marvel stuff, not to fund it, but just because my mind was going to be finish this little Batman stuff in here, straight to Star Wars. She was like, no, just hold off. Don't sell anything. You may regret it. But in the midst of even saying that, the only two pieces I wouldn't have sold was Daniel Bell's Dr. Doom and Daniel Bell's Silver Surfer. Everything else, Doc Ock, everything else would have went. Predator, everything would have went. But those two pieces.
It's funny. Every time he comes on and makes a post, because he's in the DCX group. And he, what was his last when he came out with? I can't remember whatever the last piece was he put up. No, the Penguin. No, not the he didn't do the Penguin. One of them he just did, and I can't remember.
The Batman Dark Knight Returns. He did the Spider-Man Noir. Sideshow Carnage.
That could have been. I can't remember. Whatever it was, he posted. So I don't know if it was the Joker or something, and he was like, "Yeah, here's another."
Yeah, that was the newest one, the Joker.
Yeah, it might have been the Joker. And every time he puts, I said, "Man, when you gonna do a Star Wars piece?" Could you imagine Daniel Bell Star Wars piece and everything? And so okay, far as do you feel like community-wise, do you feel like people gravitate? It's like more about popularity or more about what? Because I remember Bushy and I got into. We think like nowadays, a lot of people just because something's hot, even if they didn't like what we were just talking about, you might not like it, but they just buy it. Like somebody might not like Blade, for instance, but they get that PCS Blade because everybody else is getting it, and they want to be, And I just think that kind of mentality is like destroying the hobby. You know what I mean? Like this hobby is great because everybody's collection is unique. You know what I mean? You want Batman villains, you go to Batman Statue Collect. You want X-Men, you go to Tim. You want, and you want the Sith, you know where to show up. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that, just in general?
Speaking on the community, I'm gonna say this. Somebody said, "Hey, I got a piece in. I don't want to do a review because DT Tube already did a review. Shout out DT, man." And they were like, "And Mr. X did a review and this and that." I said, no disrespect to them because I think they're both great. But the comment I said to this individual was, you got to understand something. You look inside everybody's fridge. Everybody got some sort of juice. They got some orange juice, some apple juice, but they ain't got the sauce that you got. That's your individual flavor. You got to put your own spin on whatever you got now and not worry about that. So don't worry if somebody has put out the review first. It's first to you. It's your first time having it, so you got to put out your thoughts on what you think. You know what I mean? When people also ask, hey, if you are a content creator or you're YouTube or people generally know you in the community, and I'll say it from my own personal experiences, a lot of people won't even touch on this either because I've heard people mention this about the community. They said, hey, well, these people can get these pieces because everybody knows them. You know what I mean? For example, a lot of people will say, well, the BSC was able to get all the samurai because everybody knows him. They send him to stuff like this. Well, if you have a following, people know what you're looking for. They're going to send it to you, for one. And not to say it, but if people know you, now see, the cash price might not be the same price John Doe is getting. And I'm just keeping it real.
That's true.
And I like keeping stuff real. I know a lot of people won't, but Cash might not have paid the same price for that Emperor as John Doe will. Oh yeah, you Cash, you're good. You're good. You're not gonna scam me. You know what I mean? You're not gonna do this. You're good. And so I tell people all the time, like, your name. If you do anything wrong, trust me, they gonna put you along with other people who do stuff wrong, and people will know.
They sure will.
Yeah.
That guy, the guy you getting the Emperor from, I sold him his Luke. I don't know if he still has it. I sold him the XM Luke Skywalker. I used to have it. And then I said, I gotta get rid of all these Jedi. We can't have that film. And we can't do that. But
I don't know why, but I just don't like Luke, man. I'll never join you.
Rodney don't either. Yeah, Rodney don't either. What I like about him more than Ray is like Ray show up and she's just a beast. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, okay, but with him, if you look at where he started, he ended up. Yeah. Who is this dude? You know what I mean? Like when he showed up in Jabba's palace, he choking these dudes. I'm like, huh? Luke? You know what I mean? So that, to me, I kind of like that, but I think one of the biggest travesties we never got, because they get into him, and they got into him back in the Dark Horse books too. And when he became a Grand Master, he might have been nicer than Yoda. Like it was one time they had like these remnants of the Empire, and people was using like old Empire equipment, and it was like an AT. They kind of did it in the Last Jedi, and he just held his hand up and just did like this and like crushed the whole walker. I was like, damn, Slim, And so I wish they'd have gave us like the scene they gave us in the Last Jedi with him not really being there and all that kind of stuff. It just if they'd have had him show out like he did in the books or whatever, like I think people would have liked the Last Jedi a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I think the community honestly is great. I truthfully think it's amazing that so many different walks of life are able to come together. Whether you're older or younger, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s and above. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Puerto Rican, whatever you are, and even language barriers are crossed. And it's the one thing I can truthfully say, being a pop culture, geek, a pop culture enthusiast
brings worlds together.
Brings worlds together. Sure I mean, it's almost like community is more close knit than even a sports team. You know, you might
Right.
fight that, oh, Brett Favre is better than Peyton Manning. Over here, you have those same battles, but it's just different because, I mean, for me, I feel like a lot of times I'm still a kid, still amazed that this stuff even gets created, you know, and I find it crazy that people have massive collections. Some of the smaller collections look better than the massive collections.
Yeah.
And I think the community is an amazing thing, and being able to be a part of it and meet people along the way has really been one of the highlights. Because, you know, before the community, just getting into it, it was definitely like, it was cool, but, you know, it's definitely taking it to a whole another level. And having working and having a schedule now that doesn't allow me to be on as much as before. When you do come on those sparing times, you just have a little bit of appreciation of just making the most of that sparing times. And again, sometimes less is more. So even if you only on once a month, ain't nothing wrong with that. You coming up a month, you enjoying that time, and hey, I'll see y'all next month.
Right. That's how we rolling now, you know, because I can't go every week now like I used to. But here's what I like about the community. You got, instead of football teams, you got crews. Like you got the Star Wars crew and the Batman crew, the X-Men crew, you know, and the DC crew. You can't forget about them. And instead of arguing about, you know, who, you know, it's like who could whoop who, or, you know, my crew's tighter than your crew. And but in the end, you know, people still appreciate pieces, and, you know, he's getting this thing in, and, you know, and generally people are happy for other people. You know what I mean? As far as, you know, getting what they love and everything. So that's a good thing. And I just hope it stays like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, that's we kind of running toward the end here. Anything you want to add, or anything, you know?
Yeah, man, honestly, you know, I've been collecting now. This is going on the ending of year 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So two going to 3, and the whole entire journey, you know, I've learned a lot from start to now. I'm really appreciative as far as having a focus now and being able to pass on stuff. You know, I had to learn the hard way, as many do, that, you know, we'll use Masters in the Universe, for example. Just because I like Skeletor doesn't mean that I need a Skeletor representation, you know, in my home, because at the end of the day, you know, this is money, and sometimes nowadays it's a little bit harder than it may have been in the past. Especially to even break even in some cases. But the community has been amazing, and this entire time I've only had one negative experience, you know, myself with a cell. Maybe there's something I could have done a little bit different. I was actually buying, but maybe there was something I could have did a little bit different on my side. But, you know, that's water under the bridge, and, you know, I'm very, very happy. The community, like I said, has really made this fun and more enjoyable than I think it would have been in solidarity.
That's what's up. Now, the one quick last question, because a lot of people, for some people, is it more for you the hunt, finding a piece, or actually just getting a piece in? Because some people, they enjoy the hunt for the piece more than they enjoy, you know, getting it in. You know, pause.
I'm gonna answer like this, and I don't mean to say it in a funny way. I love predators, so it's nothing about being a predator in the jungle hunting for something. Equivalent to my wife. You know, I was sitting at the lunch table in high school, and she had this short hair, Halle Berry style, bad Guatemalan chick. Looking at her, and I'm like, I'm gonna get that. I didn't see her for a while. Walked over to the table the next lunch period. All the Spanish chicks started speaking Spanish. I'm like, man, what is going on? I thought, what's going on? So, you know, I'm like, hey, can I get your number or whatever? Ended up speaking Spanish, brushed me off. Okay, cool, whatever. See her about a month later. She gonna be like, hey, you ain't gonna speak to me? And hey, the rest is history. So I say that story to say, ain't nothing better than the hunt. It's satisfying. You finally got it. Is in the collection. I love to hunt, man. I love to hunt. Anything that's worth having is worth hunting. Trust me.
Amen to that. And on that note, We catch y'all next time. Thanks again for coming on, Cash. We appreciate you.
No
And
doubt.
we see you next time on Just Asking for a Friend. Take care, everybody.